The border between the United States and Canada is the longest international boundary in the world, over 5,500 miles. It's famously known as the undefended border, a testament to the deep trust and friendship between the two nations. Here, communities blend, economies intertwine, and families often live on both sides. Millions cross each year for work, tourism, and to visit loved ones, making this border a vital part of daily life. This seamless movement is rare in the world, built on more than a century of cooperation. The border is not just a line, it's a living symbol of partnership, supporting billions in trade and countless jobs. Law enforcement and environmental groups collaborate across the boundary, protecting shared interests like the Great Lakes. This quiet partnership rarely makes headlines because it works so well. When friction does arise, it's felt deeply. Disruptions are more than logistical, they're personal. The relationship is often described as being like family. Disagreements happen, but respect and communication are expected. Any sudden barrier, physical or financial, feels like a betrayal of this unspoken pact. The expectation is always for dialogue, not division. The US-Canada border stands as a model of what's possible when nations choose partnership over partition. It's a quiet success story, one that's easy to take for granted until it's threatened. When that trust is shaken, the impact ripples far beyond the border itself. Deep in the northern wilderness, the Alaska Highway, also known as the Alcan, stands as a monument to US-Canada partnership. Built in 1942 during World War II, it was a joint response to the threat in the Pacific. Connecting Alaska to the rest of the US, over 10,000 US soldiers and Canadian civilians braved harsh conditions to carve a 400-mile route in less than 9 months. The highway was more than a military project. It was a symbol of alliance and shared sacrifice. After the war, it became a vital economic and cultural artery, opening up the north and linking communities. For Alaska, it's a lifeline for goods, services, and tourism. The road draws adventurers from around the world, fostering a unique northern identity. The Alaska Highway is a living piece of history, a reminder of what's possible when nations unite for a common cause. It embodies the spirit of resilience and cooperation that defines the US-Canada relationship. Any threat to its accessibility is a threat to that enduring partnership. The highway's story is proof that shared resolve can overcome even the toughest challenges. In spring 2025, the trust between the US and Canada was suddenly tested. Without warning, British Columbia announced a hefty new toll on its section of the Alaska Highway, citing budget shortfalls. The toll, hundreds of dollars for trucks, significant for cars, landed like a bombshell in Alaska and Washington, D.C. For decades, the highway's maintenance was a quiet collaboration, with an unwritten rule. Its status as a critical corridor would be respected. The unilateral toll felt like the raising of a drawbridge, blindsiding American officials and Alaskan residents. BC argued it was a user pay principle, but ignored the economic benefits and the highway's joint defense origins. The move was seen as a cash grab, disregarding the road's unique international importance. The real wound was the lack of consultation. Process matters as much as policy in such a close relationship. A decision of this scale should have involved careful, bilateral discussion. Instead, the action created immediate distrust, suggesting the highway was now just a provincial asset to be monetized. The toll's imposition marked a dramatic shift, shaking the foundation of a decades-old partnership. It was more than a fiscal policy, it was a breach of trust. The consequences would soon ripple far beyond the highway itself. Alaska felt the impact instantly. The state relies on the Alaska Highway for nearly all its goods, groceries, building materials, medical supplies. The new toll threatened to raise costs across the board, squeezing businesses and families alike. Outrage swept through Alaskan communities. The highway was their lifeline, and now it felt choked off. Social media and talk radio exploded with anger, and protests erupted at the border. The tourism industry, a pillar of Alaska's economy, faced disaster as travelers canceled plans to avoid the toll. Small Canadian towns along the route also braced for lost business. The crisis exposed Alaska's vulnerability, its dependence on a foreign government for economic stability. Calls grew for new shipping routes or even an all-American road. The toll ignited a fierce debate about Alaska's economic sovereignty and future. The once friendly border had become a source of anxiety and uncertainty. The shockwaves were just beginning. What started as a provincial decision quickly escalated into a diplomatic crisis. Alaska's leaders demanded federal intervention, framing the toll as a hostile act, undermining decades of partnership. The US government issued firm protests, calling the toll unacceptable and threatening to protect American interests. Ottawa was caught in the middle. Provinces control highways, but the US is Canada's most important ally. The Canadian government urged BC to reconsider, but their response seemed weak to many Americans. Tensions rose as Congress discussed retaliatory measures, including reciprocal tolls and trade reviews. The rhetoric grew heated, with talk of a trade war over the highway. The dispute had become a test of the entire US-Canada relationship. National pride and economic leverage were now at stake. The friendship was strained to the breaking point over a single stretch of northern road. The world was watching to see if the partnership would survive. The Alaska Highway toll dispute exposed deep cracks in the US-Canada relationship. It raised serious questions about continental defense. Could military access be trusted in a crisis? The economic fallout was immediate, chilling cross-border business and investment. If one province could impose a major cost on a vital trade route, what was to stop others? The dispute injected risk into a relationship once considered almost as safe as domestic commerce. Most damaging was the erosion of public trust. Americans and Canadians began to see each other less as partners, more as adversaries. Negative stereotypes gained traction and personal connections suffered. The crisis showed how quickly goodwill can be poisoned by political conflict. The lesson was clear: even the strongest partnerships need constant care. Neglect can damage them in ways that are hard to repair. As the crisis deepened, leaders realized a new approach was needed. Out of tense negotiations came a solution: a permanent US-Canada Joint Infrastructure Commission. Its first task: resolve the Alaska Highway dispute with a joint review and a fair, sustainable funding model. The commission would also manage all critical cross-border infrastructure, from roads to pipelines. By creating a dedicated forum, both countries could prevent future unilateral decisions. The proposal was met with cautious optimism, offering hope for Alaskans, a face-saving path for Canada, and stability for business. It institutionalized cooperation, making it routine rather than reactive. The commission was a classic compromise, practical, sensible, and designed to rebuild trust. It was a step away from the brink toward a stronger partnership. The future of the border would now be managed together. The commission is vital, but healing requires more than bureaucracy. The crisis was, at its core, a failure of communication. True partnership means consulting before acting, treating each other's concerns as legitimate. Provincial governments must recognize their special responsibilities at the border. The US must listen to Canadian concerns and invest in shared solutions. Beyond government, the crisis showed the need to renew cultural and personal ties. Cross-border exchanges, education, and tourism remind citizens of shared values. Grassroots connections are the immune system of this friendship. The Alaska Highway crisis is a lesson: even the strongest bonds need maintenance. The path forward is about more than fixing a road, it's about rebuilding trust. The Alaska Highway crisis was about more than a toll. It was about the nature of friendship in a complex world. It showed how quickly trust can be broken, and how hard it is to repair. The Joint Infrastructure Commission offers a blueprint for proactive partnership. International friendships require constant nurturing, through cooperation, consultation, and respect. Every smooth border crossing, every shared project reinforces the bond. The US-Canada relationship has been a beacon of stability. Protecting it is a shared responsibility. The crisis can be a catalyst for even closer collaboration. The Alaska Highway was built to connect us. Let it continue to unite us in peace.